The first reference of donuts is in the Holy Bible, when Jesus of Nazareth was tired of his oily dough cakes getting soggy in the middle. Naturally, the Christ child threw the tasty rounds into the sky, where his uncle, the archangel Gyarados, split the yum-yum balls in half. When the halves fell from the heavens, centuries later, a young man by the name of Captain Gregory spotted them as they struck a seagull out of the sky and into the harbor at Quincy, Mass. It was there, distracted by the seagull's plight, he tripped over a life preserver and, thinking the flotation device looked delicious, decided to put a hole in the center of his fried dough cakes to replicate the shape and live his disturbing fantasy of eating said life preserver. Jesus never knew what happened to those oily cakes, nor the delicious treat they would go on to inspire. But if you wanted to know all that, you'd look up some videos about the history of donuts, listen to it while you cook dinner for your family, and then write about it in a script that you don't have an opening for. So instead, why don't I tell you about Freshly Frosted, a game about donuts and puzzles. About 6 months ago, dear goodness, I was sent a review code for the adorable conveyor belt pastry puzzler, and I got to work on this here video right away. Then a bunch of family stuff happened. Sorry, I'd rather not talk about it, but in the interim, I spent a lot of time thinking about this delicious declutterer, and I must say, I'm flummoxed. How do I properly talk about a game I love, but find conceptually boring as hell? Let's try this. I've never really been one for spatial reasoning puzzles. If I was told there was $1 billion behind a door and all I had to do to have it was solve one of those little slide puzzles of the geckos that I assume everyone got as a child when you visit Nevada, then I would just sigh and walk away knowing that that dream was forever out of reach. Luckily, Freshly Frosted is not a slide puzzle game, but rather one of those classic conveyor belt placement games. Oh, if I had a nickel for every one of those, I see. I'd have a Kidman. But please, let's be serious. Mr. Octopus.
Yeah?
Can you be serious? Can you just be serious?
I didn't say anything.
Right. The thing about this game is that it's just so dang nice. As a long-time player of video games big and small, there has tended to be a through line that has weaved its way through every game I've put a lot of time into. Violence! Or the threat of violence. In Portal, a game I adore, you technically never kill anything, with one big exception, but the threat of death is certainly hovering over our protagonist at all times. Freshly Frosted is certainly not the first game to take a totally chill approach to its world and design, but it is the first one I've played in a while, and the first I've played that leans so heavily into this calm, soothing aesthetic. The game is about a woman with a very pleasant voice who finds herself hang on. Oh God.
Okay.
Yes, I'm fine. In preparation of this review, I thought it would be good if I ate some donuts. So I did that.
How many donuts do you have?
Oh, not many, 50, 100. The game is about a woman with a very pleasant voice who finds herself sitting in a picturesque field, worried about some unexplained and complex issues in her day-to-day life. That's when she explains to you, who are playing what I can only imagine is some kind of ghost or parasitic alien consciousness, that sometimes when she is stressed, it helps her to imagine her mind as a donut factory, and sorting out the production of these little dough circles helps her solve the real-world problems she's been fretting about somehow. You, an alien brain parasite, I imagine, then enter her mind and assist with the completion of all manner of elaborate donut production machines that are made of conveyor belts and scoopy cups. But this kind exterior is not just a facade. The music, the colors, the comforting and encouraging words given to you by the woman whose mind you are attached to psychically, I imagine. Not to mention the wealth of accessibility options and ways to handpick your own difficulty by rewinding, dropping hints, and skipping whole puzzles should they prove too stressful. Freshly frosted...
Do you need me to call someone?
Freshly Frosted doesn't want to challenge you unless you want to be challenged. It will meet you where you are and help you up what was for me a hellish climb upon Mount Everest. Each puzzle consists of a rectangular grid. At predetermined points, there are machines that either release donuts, accept donuts, or affix donuts with all manner of toppings and accoutrements. Each donut acceptor will only take a donut if it's been affixed with a certain combination of fixins. One might only take frosted donuts, another with whipped cream and cherry on top, etc. The trick is to line up the belts so that each donut spitter has a clear line to a donut acceptor after passing each of the required topping machines. On the surface, this might seem easy. It might even be easy to see the lines and patterns that run along each puzzle's surface area for some. But for me, it was like being given a bowl of spaghetti and asked to make a map of the New York public transit system. One problem I kept running into was attempting to be too clever, overlapping paths so that donuts would be taken off of one course and put onto another. But this never worked. Why would it? The belts only go one way. This is literally impossible. I kept thinking to myself, this is not what this game is. Why do I keep trying this? And then that's what the game became. I don't know what to tell you, man. But the game never made me feel dumb, just for being dumb. And the fact that I never had to finish a puzzle to see what the next was meant that even when I was staring at a blank donut box for minutes on end, I never felt stuck the way I do when more intense games keep you from moving on until you've solved the task at hand. It's a problem I never really feel in combat-oriented games. In general, I'm far more likely to run face-first into a Dark Souls boss for the 100th time to make an inch of progress than I am to stick around when I'm stumped. That's where Freshly Frosted, or FF, as I'll call it, gets it right. You feel like you're here because you want to be surrounded by fluffy clouds and round-ass donuts. The hint system is also right on the money. I don't like that phrasing. The hint system is also right on target. Not much better. The hint system also furthers this open-minded approach. Worse, the hint system is also very good. F it. Not only does using it for the first time give you an achievement, making it feel like a natural and good part of the game instead of a shameful compromise, but the hints themselves are perfectly vague as to not give away the whole puzzle while helpful enough that they set the player on the right course. Oftentimes I'd give in, hit the hint button, and say, "What did that do?" as a block of belt is shoved into the right position, giving me a new marker to orient myself around in the slow methodical process in search of a glorious solution. If I were to be critical for a moment, If I were to be critical, it would just be that the game is so boring. I can't think of a less interesting game to watch someone play outside of maybe... I couldn't finish that sentence. This is possibly the most boring game to watch someone else play. I can't even imagine looking at the gameplay footage in this review, because most of the gameplay of Freshly Frosted happens in your head. Otherwise, you're just staring at a sort of pleasant geometric shape with some clouds. Well, someone else stares at it. But is that really a negative, though? I suppose if you're a full-time streamer, you might want to play something with more dynamic visuals than this, the video game equivalent of doing a Rubik's Cube while listening to lo-fi music. But if you're a full-time streamer, you probably aren't watching this random person's YouTube video, so who cares what you think? You know, I accidentally said something smart back there. Is the video game equivalent of a Rubik's Cube. A relaxing challenge that at first seems difficult, but once you get the hang of it, it's pleasant. So pleasant that the only knock against it I can think of for my own use was that the code I was given was Xbox code, when I probably would have played it more on Steam Deck, or mobile, which at the time of writing this game is not on. So in conclusion, it's a $10 game about donuts. What do you want? Buy it if you like fun, or watching clouds, or puzzles. Well, guess I did know what to say about it after all, huh, Mr. Octopus? I knew that you doubted me this whole time, but I'm glad I was able to prove you wrong.
I never said anything.
I think that completing this review fairly adequately and in the face of Mr. Octopus's doubt,
I don't know what that means.
we've all earned ourselves a little donut.
Make a pick. I don't think that's a good idea. What you've been doing lately?